With the wide receivers, we have, guaranteed producers. Of course, Moss, T.O., and Reggie Wayne. But now, Chad Johnson and Andre Johnson, can they remain healthy mentally and physically? So mentally is for, which receiver guys. That's for.
And the problem, Chad Johnson now with his shoulder injury, you're just going to have to go back to your favorite news source, hopefully Roto World, and just find all the updates, because Chad Johnson's shoulder injury, we're not sure what's up with that right now. Andre Johnson, when he's out there, he has the best chance of any wide receiver to take over the #1 receiver spot from Randy Moss. He is that talented. And then you throw Larry Fitzgerald into the mix, and you throw Marcus Colston into the mix. Steve Smith a little bit behind because he's suspended. But all these guys are really safe picks. So I like them in the second round this year versus one of those shaky running backs that you're not sure what you're going to get.
Right, and it's funny about Chad Johnson. Like, over the past 5 seasons, he's averaged around 90 catches, like 1,300 yards. And the guy doesn't have great games, but at the end of the day, he's a good #1.
Until the shoulder injury, I was sold on him as a top 6 guy. Now there are differing reports that he could miss a few games, so that definitely changes things.
Oh, boy, that definitely does.
And that would be one of the first times. I don't think he's missed a game in 5 years, so he's usually very durable. So I think he'll do a good job getting back on the field.
Right. And then we have the sleepers, another sleeper, Jerricho, Cotchery. I mean, now him and Brett Favre are clicking, So.
He's more of a guy that is a breakout player, because he's sort of already he showed what he can do. He reminds me of T.J. Houshmandzadeh in how he plays, and in the fact that it took a couple years for everyone to start drafting Hoosh as valuable as he is. You know what I mean? It took a couple years. People just didn't know his name, and he would go 20th when he should go 10th. And that's like Cotchery this year. He can be a top 15 guy. He is that good with Brett Favre. Another guy like that is Santonio Holmes.
He's ready.
Who is a 20th guy who's going to get taken about 20th, who could move up to about 10th.
That's right, and it's his 3rd year coming up, a la Braylon Edwards. Last season, his 3rd season. I think Santonio can definitely make that huge jump.
And 2 AFC North division wide receivers who can go deep, and they both have quarterbacks that can really go deep. Ben Roethlisberger is one of the best vertical throwers in the league, and Holmes is the guy that can go get it. It's not going to be Hines Ward.
Absolutely. And then we have Antonio Bryant. Very interesting pick.
But we're going to go with some deeper sleepers now. So Antonio Bryant was my boy a few years ago. Whenever he's played, he's produced. San Francisco, Cleveland, always on the worst offenses ever. Right? And now he's on Tampa Bay, who usually can squeeze some production out of their guys. Whether it's Ike Hilliard, Michael Clayton, John Gruden gets guys to overachieve. I think Bryant's really talented, so I think he's going to have a comeback year. Another guy like that who's also talented comeback year is Jerry Porter in Jacksonville. I think he can be a #1 receiver.
Dependable guy for David Garrard.
And then maybe some deep sleepers, just because they're on my mind from this draft tonight, is a guy, Courtney Taylor in Seattle. Who I really like, who's going to step into that void with Bobby Ingram hurt, and I think really make a difference.
Right, and also Sidney Rice, Minnesota,
I like Sidney Rice, too. He'll go a little higher. Courtney Taylor is one of those last round type of guys. People haven't heard of him. Sidney Rice, it could be dynamic and be a little higher in the draft.
That's right, with Barian across, on the opposite side. And Steve Smith as well with the Giants, possibility.
He's a deep sleeper. He needs some injuries, maybe. And it could happen with Burris, Plaxico Burris.
And Amani.
Right. So he's a guy in points per reception leagues will help you out more because he'll catch a lot of passes.
And now you have potential disappointments. Both Packer starting receivers, Greg Jennings and Donald Driver.
And this is, again, it's all about value. I think they're good players, but I think the Packers are going to throw less this year. Driver especially is losing targets. Jennings is there.
James Jones.
James Jones is there. Jordy Nelson is there.
That's right.
Their 4th receiver, Donald Lee, who's their tight end. I think Driver is going to lose the most. He was kind of the best buddy of Favre. Jennings, on the other hand, his is just the thing because he scored 12 touchdowns last year and 53 catches. He's not going to keep that up. He's going to go back to 6 or 7 touchdowns. The odds on keeping that up is just not very likely.
That's true, and also the deep safeties are going to keep their eye on Greg Jennings as well, to make sure he could see some double teams.
He's making that transition to a #1 type receiver in terms of the attention he'll get. So we'll see how he handles that.